Sacagawea was born around 1788 in what is now Idaho. She was a member of the Shoshone tribe. The Shoshone lived in the Rocky Mountains and were skilled hunters and gatherers. They moved with the seasons to find food. When Sacagawea was about 12 years old, her life changed forever. A group of Hidatsa warriors attacked her Shoshone village. The Hidatsa were another Native American tribe living along the Missouri River. During the attack, Sacagawea was captured and taken away from her family. She was forced to leave her home and everything she knew behind. This was eventually one of the reasons she had the strength and knowledge to help on the Lewis and Clark expedition. Living with the Hidatsa was very different from life with the Shoshone. Sacagawea had to learn their language and adapt to their customs. She became a part of the Hidatsa community, but she always remembered her Shoshone roots. When Sacagawea was about 13 years old, she was sold to a French-Canadian trapper named Toussaint Charbonneau. Charbonneau took her as his wife. Life with Charbonneau was not easy. He was much older than Sacagawea, and she had to endure many hardships. Despite these difficulties, Sacagawea remained strong and resilient. In early 1805, Sacagawea gave birth to her first child, a baby boy named Jean-Baptiste. This was just a few months before she would meet Lewis and Clark and join their expedition. Sacagawea's experiences, being taken from her home, living with the Hidatsa, and her marriage to Charbonneau, shaped her into a brave and resourceful woman. These qualities would prove essential on the long journey ahead with the Lewis and Clark expedition. In the winter of 1804 to 1805, Meriwether Lewis and William Clark built a fort called Fort Mandan in present-day North Dakota. They were preparing to continue their expedition westward in the spring. At Fort Mandan, they met the Hidatsa people, including Sacagawea and her husband, Toussaint Charbonneau. Lewis and Clark were leading an important expedition. They were exploring the newly acquired Louisiana Territory, which the United States had bought from France. President Thomas Jefferson wanted to know more about this vast land and find a way to the Pacific Ocean. He asked Lewis and Clark to lead the expedition and gather information about the land, plants, animals, and people they encountered. Lewis and Clark needed someone to help them communicate with the Native American tribes they would meet along the way. Sacagawea could speak both Shoshone and Hidatsa, and Charbonneau could speak Hidatsa and French. Lewis and Clark spoke English and a bit of French. Together, they could all communicate effectively. Lewis and Clark asked Charbonneau and Sacagawea to join the expedition. Sacagawea agreed, even though she had just given birth to her baby, Jean-Baptiste. She was only about 16 years old, but her knowledge of the land and languages would be very valuable to the expedition. In the spring of 1805, the snow melted, and it was time to continue the journey. Sacagawea, Charbonneau, and their baby joined Lewis and Clark's expedition. They packed up their supplies and headed west. Traveling with a baby was not easy. Sacagawea carried little Jean-Baptiste on her back in a cradleboard. Despite the challenges, she was a great help to the expedition. She knew which plants were safe to eat and which were used for medicine. She could find roots and berries to add to their food. As they traveled, the group faced many challenges. They had to cross rivers, climb hills, and deal with insects. Sometimes they ran out of food and had to hunt or fish. Sacagawea's knowledge of the land helped them find food and water. One day, the group faced a dangerous situation. They were in a boat on the river when it hit a strong current. The boat tipped, and many supplies fell into the water. Sacagawea stayed calm. She quickly gathered important papers, tools, and medicines before they were lost. Lewis and Clark were very grateful for her quick actions. Sacagawea also helped the group by talking to Native American tribes they met along the way. She told them that the explorers came in peace. Her presence helped the tribes trust Lewis and Clark. They saw that if a young woman and her baby were traveling with the group, it must be safe. As the expedition continued, they faced many difficult challenges. The terrain was rough, and the weather was often harsh. There were days when the group had to travel through thick forests, cross wide rivers, and climb steep mountains. Despite these challenges, Sacagawea remained strong and helpful. One of the biggest challenges came when the group needed to cross the Rocky Mountains. These mountains were tall and covered in snow. The only way to get through was to find the Shoshone people and get horses from them. Sacagawea knew this land well, and she guided the group towards her people. When they finally met the Shoshone, there was a joyful surprise. Sacagawea discovered that the leader of the Shoshone was her long-lost brother, Kamiawait. She had not seen him since she was taken by the Hidatsa many years ago. The reunion was emotional for Sacagawea and her brother. This meeting helped the expedition a lot. Kamiawait and the Shoshone were very helpful. They provided horses and showed the explorers the safest paths through the mountains. Sacagawea's presence made this possible. Her connection to the Shoshone was a key factor in the success of this part of the journey. After crossing the Rocky Mountains, the group faced more challenges. They traveled through the land of the Nez Perce tribe, who were very kind and helped them with food and guidance. The expedition continued to follow rivers, hoping to reach the Pacific Ocean. The journey was long and tough, but Sacagawea's skills continued to be invaluable. She helped find edible plants and guided them through difficult terrain. Her calm and positive attitude inspired the group to keep going, even when they were tired and hungry. Finally, in November 1805, the group saw the Pacific Ocean for the first time. They were overjoyed. They had traveled thousands of miles through unknown lands and had finally reached their goal. They set up a camp called Fort Clatsop, where they stayed for the winter. During this time, they prepared for their journey back home. The winter at Fort Clatsop was cold and wet, but the group survived thanks to their teamwork and the help of Native American tribes. Sacagawea was respected and valued by all the members of the expedition. She had proven to be a brave and resourceful woman. In March 1806, it was time for the expedition to head back home. The journey back was just as challenging as the journey to the Pacific. The group had to retrace their steps through the mountains, rivers, and plains. On the way back, Sacagawea continued to be a guide and helper. She showed the group new paths and helped them avoid dangers. Her knowledge of the land and her ability to communicate with different tribes were crucial. One important event during the return journey was when Sacagawea guided the group to the Yellowstone River. This route helped the expedition find a faster way back. Her sense of direction and memory of the land were remarkable. As they traveled, Sacagawea and her husband Charbonneau decided to stay at a Mandan village. They had completed the journey with Lewis and Clark and wanted to return to their own lives. The group said their goodbyes, grateful for all the help Sacagawea had provided. After the expedition, Sacagawea returned to the Hidatsa village with Charbonneau and their son, Jean-Baptiste. She lived a quiet life, but her journey with Lewis and Clark became legendary. Sacagawea had another child, a daughter named Lisette. Not much is known about her later years, but it is believed that she died in 1812. Some stories say she lived longer and returned to the Shoshone people. However, the most accepted story is that she passed away young. Sacagawea's legacy lives on. She is remembered as a symbol of courage and strength. Her knowledge and bravery helped make the Lewis and Clark expedition a success. Today, many places, statues, and even coins honor her memory. Sacagawea showed that even in the face of great challenges, one person can make a big difference. Her story teaches us about the power of resilience and the importance of working together. Sacagawea's contributions to the Lewis and Clark expedition are a vital part of American history. Her journey from a young Shoshone girl to a key figure in a historic expedition inspires people even today. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to subscribe for more content like this. Thanks for watching.